So we're going to show you here how we strip the bearings down from the Pro2 hub. We've already taken the spacers off in the vise. All we have holding those in there are a simple O-ring, so there's nothing screwed in or anything like that holding them in. So we take the drive side spacer off, then also we can take the non-drive side spacer that actually has a step on. You can actually see why, because it sits inside the seal. So that differentiates each side of the spacers there. Then all we have to do, the free hub is actually held in with a seal. So you grip that in your hand, twist it, and it just pops out. Then making sure that you don't actually lose the spacer there that's sat inside. If you come to rebuild your hub and you find that it just locks up, no doubt you've missed that. So just keep an eye out on that. Now to remove the rest of the axle, it doesn't matter about the seal, we can knock that out at the same time. Place it on a nice support, take a soft hammer and just gently move it out. Lift the hub shell off. That leaves us with one bearing on the axle and the seal there. Then we're still left with one bearing inside the hub shell there. So then we can reverse it around, we take a drift that gently sits inside the bearing, and the same again, soft hammer, nicely supported. Then that's left your hub shell totally bearingless then, ready for a rebuild. So after we've removed the axle from the hub body, we can remove this bearing in the vise then. So when it's actually stripped down, these are all the parts that you should have lined up. You've got your spacer, your free hub body, your washer, your axle, a bearing, another bearing, the seal, obviously your hub shell, then your last spacer there. While servicing your Pro2 and you've got your free hub off, you might as well check the bearings. You have 3 bearings included in this free hub. You've got one on the outside, a spacer in the centre, then 2 bearings seated on that edge. To remove these, just gently knock them out, check to see if they feel ropey, replace them if necessary, if not just reassemble. Now to reassemble your hub shell, if you just get a gentle amount of grease and smear it on the inside of the body, and this just helps allow the bearing to slide back into the hub shell. Doesn't need to be a lot, just enough to lubricate it to help it slide in. Then we take the bearing, rest it inside. Then there is an actual proper tool that sits right on the edge of the bearing. If you get a socket that's rounded on the edge, the chances are you're going to damage the seal. So we take the tool that you can buy from any shop, rest it inside there, and then just a gentle tap in. Making sure you've got the bearing seated in all the way then. So now we get the axle, slide it in from the disc side, gently seat that into the bearing, then again with that bearing, slide onto the tool again, rest that against the support. Now when we're replacing the seal, we try to smear a little bit of methylated spirits, and what happens is this allows us to actually push the seal in, and it just lubricates the seal but dries out. If you fill it full of grease, when you actually put the end spacer on, you'll find that the seal pushes back out because it's hydraulicing, but with mess it evaporates. Just leave it to dry for a little while and it'll stay solid then. So before we replace the free hub, I want to just apply a small amount of grease inside the ratchet. Just enough so it fills the teeth of the ratchet, not too much or it won't allow the springs to work properly. Smear that in. Back on with the washer. Now with the free hub, you need to make sure you've got some grease applied to the back spring of each pole there, so it lubricates the spring while it's moving. Make sure your spacer in the centre is aligned properly. Then we slide that on there. centralise the seal, but you will need a special tool to seat the seal back in, and just gently press it back in. You know it's gone in when it clicks. Look at that. So for the final two spaces then, just apply a small amount of grease into the seal, and then a small amount of grease on the edge of the bearing, just gives that a longer lifespan. This spacer without the step on to the drive side, just pop that on there. Apply a small amount of grease around the outside, also on the O-rings, just to help your spacers slide on. Then slide your spacer on there, making sure you've got clearance all around your seal, because if that seal's dragging on your spacer there, you'll find that your wheel drags slightly. That's a good hub.